It is a beautiful day, and we're glad to be here once again. This week, we are looking into the issue of crisis in the educational sector in Nigeria. Of course, you know that from independence, it has always been issue of one crisis to another, and that has not left us in a good state. Today, the topic is managing crisis in the educational sector in Nigeria. I have here with me a professor of great knowledge, as an embodiment of knowledge, and also a veterinary doctor, professor, who is plying his trade in the Federal University of Agriculture, FUNAAB. Professor OLADELE TALABI, you're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Professor OLADELE TALABI is the director, Institute of Human Resources and Development.
Yeah.
You're welcome, sir. Yeah. And I have also here today Mr. Dari Folani, who is playing the role of the PR person to handle the issue of crisis management. How do we communicate to resolving crisis within any sector in Nigeria? So, you're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Prof, you have been in the system for long, and you know all the issues that we have been grappling with in Nigeria. And we are not left out with this current scenario that we are experiencing, which is the strike action by almost all the unions in the tertiary institutions, particularly universities in Nigeria. How will you, when you look back from historical perspective, how will you come up with the facts that have been giving us headache and generating crisis in the education sector?
Thank you very much, sir. Basically, the way, Nigeria, more or less, we are in a crisis situation. And the crisis is more or less due to overpopulation. Overpopulation.
Does it mean that we are not planning?
You see, if I'm talking from the point of view of a veterinary doctor, if you put two animals in a certain location, you provide some things in there, the two animals may be doing well. By the time you increase those two animals to 20 animals, you are expected to increase the facilities that you have given to those two animals. That is by my own assessment, that is the easiest way to manage crisis. You have a situation where individual, for example, an individual that can barely feed himself, decides to get married, and the next thing, the fellow decides to have first child, you congratulate him. Second child, you congratulate him. Sometimes it gets to 4, 5. Remember what I said earlier. This is a fellow that could barely feed himself, now has 6 or 7 children to manage. And the fellow has no choice than to find a way of maintaining those children in the system. Of course, I move from the question to veterinary medicine. If you now move that kind of answer to the situation we have found ourselves in the educational sector, you have quite a number of out-of-school children who have no opportunity. If you look at the population in primary school, lesser amount in secondary school, it is expected that they go into the tertiary institution and then find one way or the other to be able to survive in the society. But when the population is increasing, we do not have the capacity to accommodate the extra amount of individuals, Nigerians that we are finding ourselves to manage. Indirectly now, when you have overpopulation, there are bound to be some other challenges that will now be like a fallout. But to me, as an individual, all the crisis we are seeing is overpopulation?
Well, beyond the population, does that mean that proper planning is not done?
Of course.
If the issue of proper planning is not carried out, what could then be
Well,
the situation?
personally, I have a different view. I think we're on earth to solve problems. So crisis is where you have 2 or 3 individuals. You cannot but have crisis. But it's the conflict resolution skills of the leaders that is not up to speed. You know, because crises have to be managed. And the way they manage the crisis is not, you know, for instance, the current ASU crisis, you know, an agreement was reached, and a side did not honor that agreement. That's what led to the crisis, you know, and over, the thing has been festering. So, but now, what we have now is that they should, what we have now is that they should manage the crisis, you know. 6 months down the line, ASU has been on strike. And now the minister is even talking about invoking the no work, no pay law. So this is this impasse has to be resolved in favor of our students. So there will be crisis, but you know, you need the crisis management skills to manage it so that it does not hurt the stakeholders.
Thank you very much. Let's go on break. We'll come back and to even have a larger group here. Thank you very much. We are back with you, and the topic is managing crisis in the educational sector in Nigeria. We're happy we have another prof in the house, and let me quickly introduce Professor David OLUFEMI BAMGBOSE.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
Yes, thank you
Professor BAMGBOSE is the founder and currently the provost. YEWA Central College
of
Education in Ogun State. And he is also a politician, he's a manager, a great administrator, and a man of many parts. I can't continue to mention all those areas. Prof, you're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Good evening, viewers. Thank you for having us.
It's a pleasure having you, and thank God you are a founder, and let me take you to task. In those days, we had a very rosy environment in terms of planning, in terms of content, educational, syllabus, in terms of preparations, in terms of infrastructures, in terms of everything. What has gone wrong?
Thank you very much. I'm going to take a different view from what I met. Sincerely, from a private sector view,
It's all right.
I want to tell you that the issue of syllabus, the delivery, the methodology that I have been talking about, we have a system in Nigeria whereby we have a uniform curriculum. The regulatory bodies set the platform and then, review it, periodically, maybe every 5 years. That is an anomaly in a multifaceted federal system like Nigeria. So our educational problems start from the formulation of our curriculum. Okay. For an example, in Ogun State, we have some natural endowment that should be in our curriculum, our schools in Ogun State, peculiar to us in Ogun State. We have culture, we have the direct, fabric, we have, limestone. But there's no institution in Ogun State running fabric technology, running mining technology, as I speak to you. So our curriculum that is unified, has, caused a lot of problem for us in not managing our diversity to direct our educational focus on the need of our immediate environment. Now, you see, I met Prof talking about the fact that we have a large population, which necessarily should be a blessing to us. Should be a blessing. That provides a big market for us. It provides clout to negotiate diplomacy and international politics. Now, countries with bigger population than our own are flying. No, they are soaring. China, India, I can go on and on. Okay, so our problem is basically, what do we take our education for? I had the privilege of being on the air yesterday, and I said it clearly that education cannot be, we cannot leave it to the government alone.
I was coming to that. All right. But let me put you to task once again.
Yeah, thank you.
We are really revealing that we are not being creative in the management of education in Nigeria.
Definitely.
Because there is a gap. Talking about the new technology, talking about new resources.
The curriculum. Even the curriculum.
Okay.
You see, when you look at our curriculum historically, University of Ibadan is the premier university in the country. And they were under the tutelage, the affiliation of the University of London.
Correct.
So the curriculum of University of London was the initial, the fundamental curriculum that was transported to Nigeria through University of Ibadan. And when you look at the consequence, the consequential effect of that, curriculum that came after that to all the universities in the country, tertiary in the country, is tailored towards that colonial curriculum that we had with the University of Ibadan.
Okay.
Now, if you want to compare the environment in Nigeria to London, to UK, they don't have mineral deposits as we have. They are a bureaucratical, country, country, so to say. And that's why most of the time, when you see people coming out of our institution in Nigeria, they are not thinking about how do we create something new. They are thinking of getting a government job so that they can continue the bureaucratical, system that we inherited, even educationally, from our colonial master.
Thank you very much. Prof. Talabi.
Yes, sir.
Well, something has been revealed that is lacking here, which is creativity and entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
How are you coping?
Well, at the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, of course, we are a federal university. We are, on our own part, we are trying our best to make sure that as many as possible out of school, secondary school leavers, once they have 5 credits, if they are science students, maths, English, physics, chemistry, biology, if they are social science students, maths, English, economics, and 2 other social science subjects, we can admit them for a course, into a course, Entrepreneurship Studies. We have it in FUNAAB. On our part, we are trying to do our best to attract as many students into the university. Of course, when you were introducing me earlier, you talked about the Institute for Human Resources Development at FUNAAB. It's like we try our best to attract good students into the university through us. And to us, it's like we are trying to reduce the population of out-of-university students who are unable to gain admission into the university. One way or the other, we created opportunities for them to come into the university that way. Another way that we have done, you recall that we are a specialized University of Agriculture. In this time, like I was talking about overpopulation the other time, whether we like it as a nation, first, we have to talk about food security. If somebody is well fed, I could recall when we were far younger, many years ago, we take fresh milk, we take all kinds of animal protein. You cannot compare an individual that takes lots of animal protein with an individual that took no protein at all. The reasoning, the mental capability of that candidate, of that student, to be able to assimilate is different. Nutrition has a lot of role to play, but that's a topic for another day. So on our own part, yes, we're in University of Agriculture. We are trying our best under our current Vice Chancellor, Professor Felix Kolaole Salako. He has, in the last 4 to 5 years, he has performed excellently beyond our own imagination, because he came in at a time we had crisis in FUNAAB, and he was able to stabilize the system. He was able to encourage our colleagues to come back to understand that in the university, yes, we are federal university, as my colleague rightly said, federal government alone, state government alone cannot manage the education sector because of our population. Private sector should be involved, entrepreneurial studies should be involved. You don't necessarily have to go to the 4 corners of the university to be able to make a living in Nigeria.
Thank you very much. Prof,
Yes.
Another area has been revealed, which has to do with the fact that most government institutions are similarly handicapped. Well, with the assistance of the private institutions in Nigeria, why are they not taking or bridging this gap with creativity, with new areas of studies, with new research areas, and then also because you have the opportunity of leveraging management of the institution of education with your stakeholders. How are you coping?
I have said it, that the fundamental problem starts with the planning, the curriculum of institution. Even in the private sector, we are bound by regulation to use the same curriculum that are being used in the public, in the public-owned the institution, the federal and the state. And this is not helping us. For an example, let's look at a federal university, a specialized university like University of Agriculture. If you are able to track the alumni record of that institution, you will find out that you will find very low percentage of graduates of that institution going into practical, farming. Going to practical farming, because there is a whole lot of, yes, the content is there. The coordinate training and teaching is there. But what about the things that stimulate entrepreneurship, stimulate creativity, stimulate interest in going into why we sit down there, we see a lot of them coming in, they want to go into teaching. And I will ask them a question. You attended the University of Agriculture, why are you coming into teaching? So I want to say that apart from, the private sector Yes, there is that opportunity for us to leverage, but the fundamental issues are still the problem. They are the problem that we are combating, even in the private sector. Let me now say this. We cannot but go to the model of developed, economy, developed countries, developed education. We cannot. Where private sectors are given the same opportunities that the public sector finds. They will only give you subvention, they will only give you support, not because you are a federal institution or state institution, but because you are impacting your environment. So government abroad, charities abroad, they give all institutions the same support. Because you are going to the same market, you are producing the same thing. So these are some of the impediments. Let me give you a very cogent example, like TED Fund. TED Fund is 2% of money taken from profit of private organization. And by law, in Nigeria today, private institutions cannot access TED Fund. By law. So how do you now expect stakeholders in the private sector to do more in helping?
Professor TALABI is itching to say yes, because you are challenging. So quickly.
Thank you very much, moderator. You see, I'm a veterinarian. I'm a veterinary doctor. When you talk about agriculture, we said it's specialized. You cannot see a veterinary medicine graduate going into anywhere in Nigeria saying, I'm looking for a job, I want to teach. It depends on the area of agriculture that the fellows specialize in. Veterinarians are in need, we are in high demand currently in Nigeria. And like I said earlier, this crisis that you are talking about is multifaceted. If you want to start a farm, for example, you are talking about China, you are talking about Europe. If you go there to say you want to start a farm, you will not think about fencing. In Nigeria, the first thing you think about is, how do I fence my farm? And if you look at the cost of fencing alone, perimeter fencing, the initial capital that you are going to use to fence your farm, sometimes by the time you use 10 coaches, the fellow that will jump over the fence will be smiling at you to say, it's until you reach 13th or 28th coach, round the whole farm. Those are the peculiar challenges we have in Nigeria. That you may want to go into farming. You go into farming. The same human beings, the same Nigerians who are greeting you, let that maize, let it be ripe. They are the ones that will come and harvest it behind you. And if you catch them, can I speak vernacular? Okay. You don't understand. What will you do under a situation? Okay. It's like you have labored, you have toiled for 3 months to plant maize. And you are thinking of coming to harvest on a Friday. Lo and behold, somebody who has been greeting you, well done, sir, good morning, sir, is the same individual that will come on a Wednesday to come and harvest your maize. And if you catch the fellow, sorry, sir, the man will prostrate and bring like 6, 7 children, malnourished, looking for food.
Those challenges, we'll talk about them in our next edition. Let me just ask you, do you see any communication crisis?
Yes, there's a lot of communication crisis. And our stakeholders in the education sector, education is a constitutional right. They should build consensus. This brinkmanship is not healthy for the country. We expect them to build consensus so that they can agree. Because why? What are the issues? They should try and, in the interest of the children, in the interest of parents, the students and everybody, let's build consensus. Let's move forward.
Let's build consensus. Let's move forward. Let's be creative. Let's approach things newly. Let's do things in a way that will be mutually beneficial to all the stakeholders in Nigeria. And until we do that, we cannot be seen to be doing our best to engendering peace, growth, and development in our nation. It is on that note that I would like to appreciate Professor OLADELE TALABI for being here. I hope next week you are still going to be with us.
Certainly.
So,
Nice
Professor David OLUFEMI BAMGBOSE, founder, thank you for being with us this week.
Thank you very much for having me.
We've not had enough from you, so next week we are going to explore more areas.
By the grace of God.
To solving this crisis.
By the grace of God.
So, Dr. Polani,
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
you come to expert. Thank you so much. Viewers, it's been wonderful having you. Until next week, when we continue this topic, see you bye.